Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report is your preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda and an update from your Oshkosh City Manager. Your hosts, Emily Makowski of Oshkosh Community Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Your City Manager's Report. I'm your host, Emily Makowski, and as always, I'm here with Mark Roloff, and we're here to tell you about what you can expect at the future council meeting this Tuesday, November 26th at 6 p.m., as well as give you a little bit of an idea of what's been going on around Oshkosh. So thank you so much for joining me today, Mark.
Great to be here, Emily.
Now, we've got a lot to talk about today. Recently, we had, in October, it was Fire Safety or Fire Prevention Month, and they had a fire department detector trek known as Operation Safe, smoke alarms for everyone.
It's really something. The fire department really takes Fire Prevention Month seriously. And what they do is they get out in the community and just do inspections, and they're voluntary inspections. But this year they targeted the residential area in and around Roosevelt School. So, you know, around Sawyer and Oshkosh Avenue and that area just south of it. And we had some really good results with it.
Yeah.
We're real happy to hear some of those results.
And we were able to talk with John Holland from the Oshkosh Fire Department, and he kind of told us a little bit about how it went. So let's take a look and see what he had to say.
We will come and move it for you. We will come and replace your batteries for free, all of that. We have just been going door to door recently, putting in smoke detectors and batteries, and in the few nights that I was out, and we had all sorts of fire companies out, I ran across 3 homes that had absolutely none, no smoke detectors, which was mind-boggling, and we will put them in for free, so there is no excuse.
This year it was a huge success. They had contact with about 380 residents just in that one area.
Yeah, but it's interesting, you know, because it's voluntary, we were invited in to check 273 of those homes. So the other 100 were about more education.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, they felt they were okay or they didn't. But it's really the results that were there. I mean, only 22% of the homes that they looked at had the correct number, placement, or operating detector. So even if you think you may be doing everything great, they can really point out things that you're doing that you could improve on. And that's the beauty of the program, and we're real happy that they were able to do this.
And I think a lot of times people have their fire detectors that the batteries are dead or they aren't working properly. So you think you're safe and you're doing the right thing with your detector, but you don't even realize that it's not even working. So
exactly. And then there's also the number. So, you know, out of all those homes, 142 detectors and replaced 62 batteries. So 62 of the 273 homes had no batteries in their detectors. So, you know, that's over a quarter, or about a quarter of them, and half of them they didn't have enough detectors. And so that really tells you that there's a lot to learn about that. And the fire department, their whole goal during this program is prevention. So it's education, and education leads to prevention. So we're real happy that the fire department does this. It's a great program. I believe they get a little bit of fire prevention grant money for this, but it's not just the grant money. It's them going door to door. You know, Johnny going out in the evening, knocking on people's doors, and our firefighters, all of them. You know, during their regular day shift, they could be at the station doing something else. They're doing fire prevention, and that's really what this is about.
Yes, and you can also learn a lot more about fire prevention too, not only with fire detectors at OshkoshFD.com. You got all your information there. If you have any questions, there's numbers you can call. I'm sure John Holland would be more than willing to talk to you about fire prevention and fire safety. So it's just a really good resource, and just trying to always stay aware and updated on all those kinds of things.
Yeah, we're very proud of them.
Yes, and so moving on, the Oshkosh Public Museum actually just got a grant for marketing a traveling exhibit. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. The state of Wisconsin Department of Tourism has a grant program known as the GEM grant. It's Joint Effort Marketing. And they really want to target types of events that will attract people from outside the state, bringing money into the state. And they recognize that the In Company with Angels exhibit that the museum is just now starting, or will be starting out, would be a great opportunity. This In Company with Angels exhibit has these Tiffany windows that they've been rediscovered after so many years, after over 100 years, and now they're making them available in this traveling exhibit. And because a lot of the Sawyer home has some old Tiffany windows as well, we thought it would be a great complement to our windows. So we're having one exhibit with these traveling Tiffany windows, but we're also telling the story of our own Tiffany windows at the same time. So it's probably one of those things you've walked by in the museum before, didn't give it much thought, but now there's a story to tell with it. And the state of Wisconsin recognizes that this is the only place in the state where they're going to have this traveling exhibit, so they felt it was something that visitors to the area might be interested in. And so $28,000 just for marketing, I think they feel that this could really have an impact on tourism for the area.
Definitely. And these 7 windows will be available at the Oshkosh Public Museum February 8th to May 11th. So really it's a nice block of time that we can try and attract people in there, which is really the whole point of this grant. Like you said, it's not even supporting really the exhibit itself. It's trying to get people out here to take a look at it.
And so we're hoping that we can maybe use this as well to get the rest of the community aware. If the State Department of Tourism thinks it's a great exhibit, maybe you should go visit it yourself.
Yes, definitely. So moving on, something that's been going on lately with the Pioneer property is some maintenance enforcement. Can you tell us about that, how some of the property code issues have been happening and enforcement is actually happening right now?
It's amazing the number of people that ask me questions about the Pioneer Inn property. And as you can see from the video footage we have, it's really fallen on hard times. It hasn't been occupied in 10 years now, and the property's starting to look tired. And I think the public has a certain expectation that if they have to maintain their own property, then so does a property, even if it's a business that's closed. And the public's recognizing that this is becoming an eyesore. And I was just asked about this the other night at that Citizens for Strong Oshkosh forum that was held, that I provided some comment. That was the only question I was asked from the audience. And I think there's a frustration level growing, and I think the public's expecting that if we're going to enforce property conditions elsewhere in the city, the Pioneer should be no exception. And so we've done some inspections of the property, and we're asking the property owner to comply with our codes. And if they don't, then we may need to enforce this through the court system.
Okay, and really the concern here is how it's impacting surrounding areas. It's really kind of a gateway to the waterway here. And so that's really our main concern, I would think.
Absolutely, because you have people, number one, going up and down the river. I mean, they've got the wonderful river walk, the Leach Amphitheater, so much has been going on along the river, and then they get to the mouth of the river at the lake and yuck, what's going on here? And it's one thing when the property is abandoned. Understand that we can't force a business to start up a business. That's their prerogative, but we do have to have certain standards for property maintenance, and that's the expectation we're going to have.
Okay, and moving on to our next item here, leaf collection update. Leaf collection's coming to an end, and the seasons are changing, and the downside to that is they're really changing quickly. So the leaf collection will be ending at the end of this week, and even though it'll be over, there's still other options that you can do with your leaves, even though snow hasn't quite fallen yet.
Right. The leaf trucks have to shift over to snowplow trucks. You never know when that's going to come. And what we still make available is if you have a green waste collection sticker, you can drop off over at the site over there at Witzel in Idaho. Enter off of Idaho with all the construction going on. It's still open, but you got to have your sticker. Or if you do want to leave it by the curb for one more time, they have to be in those biodegradable bags. You can get them at a local store, and you can put them out the week of December 2nd through 6th. So after Thanksgiving weekend, the bags that you see right there, those are the types of bags that we will accept, and you can put them on your own curb, and we'll take them away if you can't get down to the Witzel site. But we encourage you can get rid of those items that way, but you have to have a permit. You can purchase them at City Hall or Kits and File. You know, my advice, if you don't have a sticker already, get one of those bags and just leave it curbside December 12th or 2nd through 6th, and get a sticker next year, and then you'll be able to have that convenience of dropping it off at the Witzel facility when the spirit moves you.
Kind of utilize that facility there too. And like you said, you can pick up stickers for the yard waste drop-off facility right here at City Hall. And then again, brush pickup week is December 2nd that week, and must have them in biodegradable leaf bags. So now if you're ready, we can move on to my favorite part of the show, the question mark part, where the viewers get to ask Mark a question about anything they want, and he can do his best to answer as best he can. So let's see what the question is this week. All right, Mark, so the question this week is, what are City Hall's hours over the Thanksgiving holiday?
Well, I got a softball question this week. Sometimes it's nice to get an easy one.
Yeah, it's a good question, too.
It is. The only hours we're closed are on Thanksgiving Day itself. That means that there'll be nobody here, but it also means that some services won't be provided on Thanksgiving Day. Specifically, there'll be no waste or recycling pickup, and there'll be no bus service on Thanksgiving Day. What that means is that on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, the 29th, we will be open, City Hall will be open regular business hours. We will have bus service, but the refuse and recycling collection will be moved back one day. So if your pickup day's on Thursday, it'll move to Friday. If your pickup day's on Friday, that'll be moved to Saturday. But we will be open, and if you need to take care of some business and you're off for the weekend, we'll be here to help you any way we can.
Excellent. So closed on Thanksgiving, open on Friday.
You got it.
All right. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll go over the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, November 26th at 6. We'll see you right back.
Hi, I'm Mayor Bergtauer, and I'm asking for your help. The city has several boards and commissions that play important roles in just about every aspect of local government. Whether it's the Parks Board or the Landmarks Commission, these and other boards act as a forum for citizens to address their concerns and questions about Oshkosh city government. The boards also provide members the opportunity to make positive suggestions to the council or city staff to move the city forward. So here's where we need your help. For our city to work effectively, we need active citizen participation. Many of our boards and commissions currently need members. We're asking for just a few hours of your time each month to serve on one of our boards or commissions and help to ensure a strong democratic process. So please consider serving on a city board or commission. For an application, visit the city website, stop by the city manager's office in City Hall, or call 236-5000. Thank you for your interest, and we look forward to your possible involvement.
Thanks again for joining us on your City Manager's Report. And now it's time to go over the City Council agenda for Tuesday, November 26th at 6 p.m. You can watch the meeting live on City Cable 10 or on OshkoshCommunityMedia.org. So Mark, the first item that we want to discuss a little bit here is under the consent agenda items having to do with the wastewater treatment plant. A number having around $700,000, so that's a big number. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, it's pretty steep, but this is with everything we're doing in 2014 with the central garage, we're cutting back a little bit on street projects, but the utilities still need to have some work done. So we're kind of focusing inwardly at our treatment plant. So in this case, this is an engineering service agreement with a firm called CH2M Hill. And this is just for construction management purposes. So even though the amount you pointed out was pretty big, it's $700,000. It's just for the construction management services, as well as some new software development that is going to be going on at the plant.
So there's no equipment involved in this number whatsoever?
Just a little bit of software, but
okay.
No, it's just construction management. The ultimate project itself is going to be over $5 million. Mm-hmm. We are doing the replacement of a lot of equipment in the plant that was installed when the plant was originally built in the 1970s. Original equipment, and when you think about the technology in your phone is probably more advanced than the technology that we're replacing at the plant, you can see why things really need to be upgraded. This is things like our treatment plant control system, monitoring flows, monitoring the different waste that we have to process and eliminate in the sewer treatment process, influent pumping, the pumping systems in the plant, make sure they get pumped in properly, and then aeration blowers is part of the process. All that equipment was installed in the 1970s and 80s, and after 30 to 40 years, it's time to replace this stuff. So there's a lot of construction management. We have to keep the plant going while we replace the equipment, so we do need a professional firm to be out there keeping an eye on the contractors, making sure everything's being done just right, because we're really dealing with health and safety issues when we're talking about the treatment plant.
Very true. And so this is a huge upgrade, especially since the last one was built in the 70s, 80s you mentioned. So what's the timetable on this? When can we expect opening bids to take place?
We're going to be opening bids fairly soon. We will probably be awarding them in December, at the latest January. But we want to get the work started. We actually budgeted it in 2013 and 2014, but we're only just now starting to spend this money. The work's going to take place throughout 2014. I don't think it'll stretch over into 2015, but it might. But this is a year-long process because, like I said, we have to keep the plant operating while we're replacing all this equipment. So we can only do it in bits and pieces to get it done and be able to keep the plant operating at the same time.
Excellent. So it's something we can definitely look forward to seeing some updates on.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. This is all under the radar stuff. Nobody notices our treatment plants unless something goes wrong. And I hope they never find out about anything at the treatment plant, because we don't want anything to go wrong. So this is one of these things that you tend to take for granted, but it's a very important issue for our community.
Moving on to the next item here, having to do with the Public Works Operations Facility, except another big number. This number is negative, about $2 million. So what exactly does this have to do with the construction going on at the Field Operations Facility?
We're actually taking advantage of a recent improvement in state law. This allows the city, as the owner of this project, to actually purchase the materials, the building materials that will be used in the project. If it's purchased by the contractor has to pay the construction or the materials cost, the sales tax on it. If we purchase it, we don't have to pay the sales tax. So what we're doing is we're actually reducing our contract by $2.8 million. We're going to, in turn, purchase those materials directly, but because we're reducing our materials by $2.8 million, we're going to save 5%, so we're going to be saving about $140,000 on this building. As you can see, the construction, even at this late hour on a Thursday afternoon, evening, a lot of progress is going on. This is the tower cam of the operations facility that's being taken from about 3rd and Idaho, looking to the northeast, and you can see that a lot of progress has been made with this project. And we're going to save $140,000 with this change order alone.
So it's really a very important aspect of the project that is taking place.
We're going to save a good amount of money, and it's a very effective way to take advantage of a change in state law.
Great. And immediately following this item on the agenda here, having to do with sewer system bonds, with the pay agent and registrar, what can you tell us about that?
Well, this is what's being done is a fairly routine type of thing in terms of how we're managing our new bonds, but we just opened our water and sewer bonds for 2013 just yesterday on Wednesday the 20th, and we got some very competitive bonds. Some of them are actually cheaper than our general obligation issue just the week before. The market was very favorable, and so we didn't have these awarded at a council meeting because we needed to get it done before the Thanksgiving holidays, and the markets are a little weird during the week of Thanksgiving, so we didn't want to open bids 2 days before Thanksgiving. So we've already done that, but we do need to get the council to approve this paying agent. This is one of the routine things that has to get done over the course of paying the bonds, but I really wanted to talk about this because we got some very good rates in the neighborhood of 3.4 to 3.6% that we're paying for these improvements. So very competitive rates. Our utilities are rated AA3, Not as good as our general obligation bonds, but still a very effective utility and really good assets. And this is a way that we can continue to improve our utility systems.
Great, and also kind of dealing with some more upgrades happening around here. Item number 13, having to do with InfoVision software for the Public Works and Community Development areas for reviewing their plans. Is that correct?
Right, we're getting some new permitting software, and this really came as a result of some discussions we were having with staff through some lean continuous improvement process. And we also included some of our customers, frequent clients that we've had either in the building community or the architectural community to give us input on what we can do to improve the process. Mm-hmm. And the one thing we learned was that access to information is extremely important. And a lot of our automated systems are of the older variety where they're not web-based. The client customer cannot access this information. The software we're talking about will enable a customer to look up online exactly where the status of their project is within the inspection, within the site plan review process. So if there's an issue, they can address it. If it's something that their contractor or architect has to deal with, they can get in touch with them. If it's something that we're holding up, they can get a hold of us and say, what can we do to keep the process moving? But the whole idea with this is, what can we do to shorten the time frame to get these projects reviewed? Because the old adage that time is money is so applicable here. And this is expensive software. It's $63,000. But literally, we can save a single project that amount of money if we can shorten their review time and construction time by 30 days. It's that valuable to a contractor to be able to help them save time. So the more information we give them, the better they can get a project done, and the more efficiently we can serve our customers. So we're really excited that we got so many people involved in this process to give us this input. And this is the sort of the quiet side of economic development, but it's a very effective way to serve our customers.
And it's a really dynamic and positive outcome and update here, and that's consistent with the strategic plan, correct?
It really is. I mean, when you talk about, I mentioned economic development, which is part of our strategic plan, employee engagement, we've got several departments involved in this. We have economic development, planning, inspections, stormwater, Public Works, so many different agencies, and then we have architects and contractors and customers all giving us input. That collaboration, that employee engagement, and it really comes down to improving the system, which is what this is all about.
Excellent. And so now we're going to move down to the main event for this meeting here, something I'm sure you've been looking forward to, the budget process here. Council had a workshop actually Wednesday night. What came out of it?
Well, this was our 7th workshop that we've held with Council since July. And there are some very difficult decisions that we're making with this budget. And Council, I think, has boiled it down to about a dozen items that they would like to talk about after they've asked questions and made a lot of inquiries. And there's some specific areas that they've identified. The biggest controversial item, I think, has been the staffing reductions, particularly in the fire department. I think there's a consensus that you can tell from watching the meetings that they would like to restore those positions. They haven't officially done it yet, but they've asked us to identify options that we can fund these positions. And so they identified 12 items that they would like to go through. And I think what they're going to do is methodically go through each of them and then vote on them. And once they're at the end of those 12, they can see if there's anything else they want to take a look at, particularly the impact on the tax rate. They recognize that anything we do is an impact on residential property bills, property tax bills, and we have to be cognizant of that. So once they get through those 12 or so items, then they'll be able to vote on the budget, the tax levy, the rate, as well as our capital improvement program for 2014.
Yes, and I know you delved a little bit into those 12 items. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit more on what some of the other ones are?
Sure. We did talk about the firefighters. There's also a couple other positions that were mentioned specifically, one in planning, which really goes towards our neighborhood revitalization efforts, as well as some internal position in information technology, because with so much automation we're talking about. Everything we talked about today had to do with automation. They want to make sure that we're not cutting ourselves short, maybe, cut your nose to spite your face type of thing. I think they want to take care of that. And they also asked us to take a look at some possible fees and some other expenditure reductions that they might be able to do to help balance the budget. Employee wages are certainly an issue. Some of our employees haven't been given raises in 4 years. That's an issue that they know they need to wrestle with as well. A lot of difficult things to do, but I think council's been very deliberative and they're getting close to making these decisions. And I think by boiling it down to about 12 items, I think they're going to just methodically go through them and adopt the budget.
Okay, and so even after the budget process and everything, there's still some fees that we're facing a little bit here dealing with water.
Yeah, water and sewer, and those two items are on the agenda. One is to get a report from our utility rate consultant about the water rate increase. That has to get submitted to the Public Service Commission, so that may take a little more time because the water utility is a regulated utility. Our sewer rates are also subject to review, and the council will approve those. That they do that by themselves. But our rates are looking to go up quite a bit, and I don't want to sugarcoat that for anybody, but I certainly want to explain it. The water rates haven't been done in a number of years, and as everybody knows, we've been on an accelerated program to improve our utilities, and our water utilities are no exception. And because of that, we're looking at an 18% rate increase. Pretty substantial, but it's been a number of years since we've done a rate increase, and there's a lot of capital projects we've done over the last couple of years. Our consultant has made some recommendations on ways to prevent the rate increase from going up as much in the future, but we need to keep an eye on that. Similarly, with sewer, we're probably looking at about a 10% rate increase. Again, we are replacing sewers from sanitary sewer sense, we're replacing sewers from the 1920s, so they're 90 years old. And life of a sewer, maybe 75. If you're lucky, you get to 100, but we're replacing 90-year-old sewers. So
a little inevitable at this point.
Yeah, it's you got to do it. The street needs to get done, so we're doing that. So we've done a lot there. And we've also done a lot with what's called inflow and infiltration, water, stormwater seeping into our sanitary sewer system. We've been doing a lot of sewer lining on areas that don't need replacement immediately, but taking care of a lot of pent-up deferred maintenance that we simply have to address. And I know, I pay the water utility bill and the sewer utility bill just like everybody else, and I know that times are difficult, but we have to look at this as an investment in our own property, because if we don't take care of these things, those are the types of things that will go bad with your house. That affects resale value. That affects what could potentially happen to your house if a sewer backup occurs because we didn't properly maintain your system. We're essentially passing the costs of bad maintenance on to you, and that's not fair to you as a property owner.
And so really what these fees are going to are these projects that you just described that are they really need to get done, and it's been a while coming with those.
And I think you're going to see the value as we go on, that these are important improvements.
And even prior to this budget talk here, I just wanted to make one more mention that public also has their last chance to comment on the budget as well.
Right, we've had the budget, we've had the public hearing, but council always gives one more opportunity for the public, and they'll be able to do that on Tuesday night as well.
Yes, and we've got about a minute left. We can quick go over the last item here is having to do with Plan Commission and landmarks. What can you tell us about this item?
Well, the Plan Commission and the Landmarks Commission has been going through some architectural design standards. They've got a proposed ordinance that they want to present to the council, and they felt instead of having it bounce between the council and the Plan Commission and Landmarks Commission, have a joint workshop. It's going to be on December 3rd, right after the regularly scheduled Plan Commission meeting. They're going to hear a presentation and what they're talking about to help improve standards so that everybody's property value benefits from this. That's the whole purpose of it, and we'll see what the commission has to say after they meet with council about it.
Yes, and we definitely have a lot to look forward to in this upcoming council meeting. So thank you for joining us today and giving us a little preview of what we can see on Tuesday.
Always a pleasure.
Again, the City Council meeting and budget meeting is this Tuesday, November 26th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on City Cable 10 and on our website, oshkoshcommunitymedia.org. You can also listen to it on 101.9 WOCT, and make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter for different programming updates. Thanks again for joining us on your City Manager's Report. We'll see you.